I would like to bring you a program that we have tonight, and that program is we wanted to also bring you, as Moses was talking about, the healing. How do we go through healing journeys? What are the tools, the resources that are available, whether it's online or just in our everyday community? So today, with our team, we sort of put together a video that can help you understand yourself better. And so it's going to be over about half an hour. We want you to sit down, get a tea, just sit and listen, and hopefully go and take an action so you can help yourself understand yourself better, and that way it allows you to also operate best in the community, at home, and wherever you are. So let's go to the video.
Welcome, guys. If you remember, my name is Likam. I am the assistant slash producer slash pack mule slash whatever. So along with talking about healing, which is really what we're trying to do here, we need to talk about the steps to that. And one of those steps is getting to know each other and getting to know ourselves. And a big part of that, not just for me, but for kids as well, is personality and how to figure that out and test. And of course, that goes to higher ideas of spirituality and consciousness. But this is just where we really start. And I really like to start with the MBTI. Of course, it's not a perfect thing, but it is actually a close approximation. And for me personally, I know I've done this and you've done it as well too. Yeah. And if you feel a kinness to it. Just to be more clear though, while they say it's personality test, this is really about how you work information, how you judge things, more so than whether your behavior is whether or not you like pie. We're going to talk about Kiz and me and myself. So actually Kiz is what they would call an INFJ. What that stands for is introverted, intuitive, feeling, and judging. Now the funny thing is we are almost right there by ourselves. So I'm an INFP, that's introverted, intuition, feeling, and perceiving. Now I kind of don't feel like I always am that. I feel like I'm something else, but honestly, that's also part of the personality type.
What do you feel like you are most of the time?
So I feel like it switches and it changes. Sometimes I feel like I'm an INFJ, sometimes I feel I'm more extroverted. Okay. But actually that's part of being an INFP. I'm so into myself like that, in the sense that like I'm always like, I'm here, I'm there, I'm everywhere. You're all over the place. Exactly. Yeah. But just so everyone knows a little bit more, we can talk about this, because I feel like we do talk about extroversion and introversion a lot, but we use them in the wrong way. So a good example is we're both introverts, but I'm sure if you saw either of us on camera, you'd be like, what? Introverts? Look at how cool these guys talk and act.
I know, you will never imagine. Many people who have seen me throughout the years, when I say I'm an introvert, they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, I'm an introvert. Like literally, like if it wasn't for the work or the camera, I'm just a chill person. I don't want to be out there. I want to be in my own corner, do my own thing. As you're going to explain, I live in my own head.
Introverts are very focused on the internal world and their internal energy, whereas extroverts are focused on what's going on outside of their external. That's where they get their energy from. And so the next one, which we also have in common, is intuition versus sensing. Now, with intuition versus sensing, it gets a little bit more complicated. Let's start with sensing. So that's the thing neither of us are, which is probably not great for work, I'll be honest, but essentially just your five senses, what you hear, smell, taste, and it's the idea that that information is what's important. The opposite of that is intuition. Intuition is kind of just a feeling.
So you and I are both intuitive.
Yeah, we're both very intuitive people. We're the kind of people where you'd ask us, oh, why are you doing that? And if we don't have the language for it, we're just like, it's just.
I knew that felt like something I had to do.
Exactly. And I guess the work for us is kind of building up the language to actually express it.
I'll say this, most people, I don't know, you know that I'm doing the Mexico walk. I did the walk to Montreal. Anybody who ever asked me, like, why are you doing that? At first, I never had an answer. Because it felt, that's the essence of what I was doing. It didn't make sense, but it felt like I had to do it.
Exactly.
So it kind of makes sense.
And I mean, the thing about that is, it's not that one has logic and one doesn't. It's just what we value in that logic. So I guess a good example for me is, well, when I was going to school, when I did my master's, when I was getting in, I didn't go in saying, oh, you know, you need to make money to survive, to do this, blah, blah, blah. It was more so just like, I need to go. I need that knowledge. I need that. It's more so at that level, but it's a lot more difficult than that as well. And we can go to is thinking versus feeling. And again, we're both feelers. So I mean, this kind of is self-explanatory to most people. It really is the difference between basing everything off a feeling, something like intuition, but more so how we want to be and how we make decisions in a sense. So I mean, obviously, look at the work we're doing here.
Yeah.
You're basing this off people, and you want
Yeah.
to make the world a better place.
Absolutely.
And I'm very much the same way. Of course, it's not that thinkers don't want to make the world a better place, and obviously, none of this is one or the other. This is all in a spectrum. But generally, what we'd say is thinkers are more into organization.
Yeah, it's more calculated, everything.
Exactly.
I feel like for me, maybe speaking for myself, a lot of the decisions I've made had to have a goal, which I think you're gonna talk about earlier, where some people are like, okay, this makes sense to me today, I'm gonna do it. For me, it can't just make sense today. It has to make sense tomorrow, next year, 5 years from now. If I don't see it make sense 10 years from now, most likely I might not be able to do it, because it all has to fit within that box of, like, does it fit? I think there was another, I don't want to jump ahead of myself, maybe get there first.
Hey, I'm excited too, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, just to round it all off, essentially, one, let's just say, horrible thing about both of us is people like us, if we don't feel it, we don't do it. And feelings can be flighty. You don't always have them forever.
Yeah.
Actually, your type is a little better with it than mine, because you're a bit more future oriented.
Yeah.
But that if you don't feel it, it might not happen. But at the same time, it also allows you to do incredible things when you do have that.
When you have that fire.
Exactly.
Passion.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay, and then the last one is the only place we actually change. That's judging versus perceiving.
What sucks is the only place where we differentiate, I end up with the one that is, I would prefer being more of a perceiver than a judger, but hey. Yeah.
In my opinion, the difference in this is why he's the boss and I'm not. But so if we're talking about, so as you can see, obviously the J in he's the judging and I'm perceiving. So the difference within that is judges are way more, in a sense, organized and based towards a goal. If you think of a forest and a path, there's one path to the end of the forest. Now, obviously, there's good in that. That means you get stuff done. And like I was saying before, you do tend to get stuff done better. INFJs, you don't get as discouraged as we do because we are perceivers. We like different angles, doing different things, trying different methods. And because that, we're very bad at finishing.
So if anything happens that discourages you, you know what? I have another option.
Exactly. We always have a way out.
For me, it's like, it's just this baby. There's nothing else. If this doesn't work out, there is no failure for me.
Exactly.
If I fail, it's more of a lesson to try it again.
And then you have to try again.
Yeah.
Whereas I'm like, if I fail, sure,
I
I fail, but then I just have to go around another way. For me, failure is the idea that you have to try something different. For you, failure is the idea you have to try harder at the same thing.
Yeah.
So these are called cognitive functions, and they're actually arranged perfectly from what's more dominant to what's least dominant. So first one is more dominant, second one is you use it but not as much, third one is you kind of use it, and the fourth one is something you really need to work on. And these different things really develop who you are, and this is actually, given our so close to this and this, we're actually very different in our cognitive functions. If you actually look, I put numbers over here. That's because everything you're good at in cognitive functions, I am bad at, and vice versa, in the exact order. So I always find that really funny. But instead of just me going step by step, I think it's just better to have a full conversation about it. So one major difference you find with INFJs and INFPs is sort of like analytics versus artistic. So just to be more clear, anything that is an F or a T is how we judge things. So the feeling and the thinking is how we make judgment calls. As well, so anything that is sensing or intuitive, that's just how we take in information, whether we just kind of know it or whether we need to feel it, see it, whatever from other sides. So just to go with yours specifically, we first start with introverted intuition, which basically means that how you are intuitive with you internally. So whenever you're making, let's say, a judgment call or something, it is from you. It is from
based
him.
on what my internal world.
Exactly. It is really based on the internal world. Whereas we can see from mine is based off information. Mine is based off my dominance. So this is how we are at first. This is our first thing where our conscious goes first. Mine is about how I feel. So before I do anything, I always have to stop and then saying, how do I feel about this? How does it make me feeling? Should I do it? Even when I got the great job author, thank you again. It was, my first thought was, I feel great. You know, this is great. This is good. Whereas maybe for you, something like that with introverted intuition, you would be like, does this work for me? Does this work for my goals?
The decision I'm making, should I, like, is this where I want to go?
Exactly.
Or is there like another option?
Exactly.
I don't automatically feel like you in terms of celebrate. That's another thing too, like celebrating as soon as something good happens is not something I know how to do, which is weird because you would assume when something good happens, the first thing you do is celebrate, right? For me, it's like there's a lot of calculations that are internal that actually do happen all the time when something good happens. You know.
I mean, there's truth to power and all that. So the second one, this is sort of like, let's say this is 100% you, this is like 75% you.
Okay.
So it's things that do come up, but it's not too big. So now that we're both going down, we actually switched. So this is about you and information, how you take that in, and it's about me and how I make decisions.
Okay.
So with you, how you take in information, or how you kind of not decide, but essentially how you value things comes from the outside world. Because of the outside world, the feeling of the outside world.
Yeah.
So sort of, if the world is giving you pain, then you will see pain and you will work on pain.
Yeah.
So it's sort of, I think we were talking about this earlier. You're more of, you're a sponge. You take in people's feelings.
Like for me, if I'm in an environment where like there's something happening, if it's good, I'm gonna be feeling upbeat and everything. If it's bad, like if obviously coming from Rwanda, having gone through the genocide, and this is something I learned later, but the idea of seeing what took place in '94, for me, all of it was in here. It sort of got in here and boiled up for many years, and so. But that's just an even extreme example. If it's just somebody who is sad, and I see that, or they talk to me, automatically I feel sad, and that's something that for many years I wish I didn't have, because I feel like, you know what, yes, somebody's sad, you can help them, but you don't necessarily have to feel that.
Of course.
But for me, it's automatic. It's just so I guess that's the idea of learning these things and knowing. You could learn about yourself, learn what it means for you, and then of course learn other forms of personal development programs as well. The reason why we brought you this tonight is because we want to help you find out the strengths, the weaknesses, and the tools that you can use to actually develop yourself through anything. For me, it was more about going through PTSD and understanding what are the tools that I can use to get to the level that I want to be.